Welcome to our first sports segment on this YouTube channel. I'm Luca Vitale. Alongside me is Max Schultz on the other side due to the coronavirus. Today we're going to talk about Cam Newton. Okay, Max, first question for you. Where do you think Cam Newton is for the best fit for his next destination?
I feel like Cam Newton would thrive somewhere like maybe the Chargers or the possibly the Colts as well, because they have very good running backs at both those teams. They have Austin Eckler on the Chargers, and they have on the Colts they have Marlon Mack. Two very good running backs. If you were to put Cam Newton there, he's a good scrambling quarterback. He did this for his whole career. I feel like he could thrive there and carry those teams to possibly a playoff, maybe even a Super Bowl in a few years if he goes there.
Yeah, so we mentioned the Super Bowl. Philip Rivers has not won a Super Bowl yet. I mean, 2 seasons ago, it looked pretty promising that him and the Chargers were going to get to the Super Bowl, but they did not get there. So do you think he has a chance to win a Super Bowl before his career is over?
One of those big questions is if he's going to win a Super Bowl. He has to stay healthy. Cam is so injury prone that if he does not get injured, I feel like he has still one more time to run it in the tank. You know, this has happened to another quarterback, RG3, in 2010 when he just kept getting injured and his career was basically over. Now he mentors Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. But I feel like Cam Newton still has one more run in the tank if he finds a team that has a good O-line, because, he's getting near the end of his career. He doesn't need to get sacked 30 times like he did on Carolina. So I feel like if he finds a good team, I feel like he can go really far.
All right, so where Cam Newton is going to go, I am 100% certain for me that the LA Chargers are the best for him. The reason, because we need to take into consideration when we look at the LA Chargers, we need to realize Philip Rivers, he can throw the football, even though he threw for 20 interceptions last year when him and the Chargers won 5-11. You also need to see that he got no protection from his front line last year. And I don't know how many times he got sacked last season. I don't have that statistic with me, but he got sacked quite a bit, and he was under constant pressure. Now, we're going to get to this, but the reason he got that is because he is an immobile quarterback. He's like Tom Brady. He has to make those really quick throws, but he was under constant
pressure. But Tom Brady's line, though, is amazing. He is one of the best O-lines in football. It's not like that for other quarterbacks.
Correct.
Especially Cam Newton and Philip Rivers. So.
Right. I know. I'm going to get to that. So, yes, he's lost velocity on his throws, Philip Rivers, and he's aged. But even regardless of that, he threw for 4,600 yards last year with 23 touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
Those 20 interceptions, it did look pretty bad on Philip Rivers and Anthony Lynn, his coach. And at the end of the day, the GM says, you know what, we're not going to sign you to a longer deal. And he became a free agent. And then obviously he signed with the Indianapolis Colts on a 1-year deal. In the end, though, the real impediment with Rivers was to run with the football, right? He's no mobile threat whatsoever. You don't have to worry about him taking off on a running play or even scrambling, unlike Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. We know what they can do, especially with their speed. Obviously, though, if you look at Cam Newton, though, in the Chargers, that's going to be way different if Cam Newton takes those reins from Philip Rivers, because he can move with the football. A season and a half ago, before he got hurt, did you know he completed 67% of his passes, which is the best of his career?
That's great for him.
So bottom line with this is, if Newton were to end up with the Chargers, you got Anthony Lynn as your coach. You got offensive weapons and Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, and then the crew. You also have to take his ability as a mobile quarterback. That is such a significant upgrade from the immobile quarterback they had in Philip Rivers, and I really think the Chargers should consider getting Cam Newton.
Yeah, I think they should. I feel like, though, the Chargers should give him not a crazy deal, like a 3-year, $24 million deal, just to see how it goes. So that way they're not strapped down to any crazy long contract.
Yeah, I definitely think Newton should get somewhere around Teddy Bridgewater money, and if that's my opinion.
They're both very similar quarterbacks in the way they play. They're both good pocket scramblers. They both know, they have really good IQ in the game. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be successful, but I feel like Cam Newton can have one last shot at it, honestly. Yes. With the Chargers, because the Chargers is a new team for him. He had a long time in Carolina, but I feel like that ship has kind of sailed. He needs to look onto his new horizons for another chance.
For sure. Does Cam Newton still have some MVP form left in him?
I mean, I feel like the Chargers as a base is a very good fan base for him, but I just don't know if he can handle the challenge in a place like LA. I don't know, like Carolina is different from LA. Those fans are expecting a lot now that Phillip Rivers is gone. So they're going to be expecting a lot. So I feel like he can pull it off if everything comes in line with no injuries. The team has good chemistry. I feel like Cam Newton can lead this team for sure.
Yeah. So, having no MVP form, I believe he still has some of that 2015 MVP in him when he led the Panthers to a 15-1 regular season record, and he led them to the Super Bowl 50, which they lost to Peyton Manning, obviously 24-10. But there's some things we cannot forget about Cam Newton. He was Rookie of the Year in 2011, right, when he broke all-time NFL rookie records for passing and rushing yards, and he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. I mean, I understand that the injuries may have lost him that, but I really do believe that he still has some of that form left in him, and he can get to another Super Bowl if he has those offensive weapons to help him.
Yeah, I feel like Keenan Allen's production last year with the Chargers was kind of not the best that we've seen Keenan Allen play. I feel like he could definitely have played better. But if Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry and those guys play at their full potential, it'll just make it easier for Cam to make it to the playoffs.
Definitely. Do you find it insulting when the Panthers released him and they didn't let Cam even seek a trade earlier, and when there were more quarterback openings,
Yeah,
it almost came to the last minute? What do you
yeah.
think about that?
Cam's like a very good person in the NFL. Like he hasn't really done anything wrong. He was very loyal to the Panthers, and I feel like for them to just kind of like frame him in a way was kind of wrong. So I feel like maybe it's better for him to be on the Chargers and kind of prove the Panthers wrong on what they gave up in talent-wise. Because Cam Newton is one of those quarterbacks where you're like, wow, this man can really play. Like he's a great quarterback, and I feel like with the Chargers, he's going to thrive. Something that he didn't necessarily reach towards the end of his time in Carolina, but now and with the Chargers, I feel like that he could reach his max potential within his last couple of years in the NFL. Because you know what, like they're always moving on to the next rookie in line. So
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So how I see the situation, I feel really bad for Cam Newton and how the Panthers organization handled the situation. They basically screwed over Cam Newton is how I would say it. So obviously when the owner, David Tepper, when he fired Ron Rivera last season, that is when they should have said to Cam Newton, hey, we're going to retool this whole entire roster. We're letting you seek a trade and you can go wherever you want. I would have been fine with that. So obviously once they hired their new coach, Matt Rule, right, they gave him a ton of money, which in my opinion was not exactly the best idea. But obviously when he was hired, right, all of us believed that, I personally believe still that Cam Newton was going to be on the Panthers again next year because Joe Brady was coming to the organization as the team's new offensive coordinator. So I found this interesting. I found this on this Sports Illustrated article. What the Panthers owner said at the end of last season, their plan was to move forward with Newton. And notice how I said move forward, not move on. However, the team came out, it was about a couple weeks ago, saying that they would grant Newton and his agent permission to seek that trade, right? And Newton never even asked of that. And it just looks bad on the organization because it's almost like they did Cam Newton wrong. Like, if they would have let him seek a trade earlier when there were so many openings open, like the Bears could have gotten him, or he could have gone to maybe even Jacksonville, because who knows if Gardner Minshew's even starter ready. I just feel like they did Cam Newton wrong.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. They definitely did do Cam Newton wrong. I feel like he also could have done well, like you said, with the Bears. The Bears have a lot of stuff in place, great defense, Offense is improving, but I feel like now that Nick Foles is on the Bears, things are going to be different through the divisions. This free agency was crazy, but I feel like, you know what, Cam Newton, he's a great quarterback, and he can definitely lead his team to this Super Bowl in the next few years if it gets to that potential. But we just got to see how it goes first. Who knows if Cam's going to break his leg? Who knows? It's too unpredictable.
Yeah, he really needs to stay healthy in order to succeed on another team, or you never know, maybe an early retirement like the guy in the Panthers, Luke, I don't know how to say his last name. Is it Kuechly or something like that?
Luke Kuechly?
Kuechly, thank you.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old and he retired from the NFL, so that tells you something.
He was such a good player for the Panthers, though.
Right.
Changed their whole team, defensive side. But I feel like Cam Newton has such a strong connection to the Carolina fan base that it's going to be weird to see him go somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as much as soon as I saw they trade for or sign Teddy Bridgewater and then sign PJ Walker from the XFL, I knew that they're over. They're done.
Yeah, the Cam's time was done. But I feel like Cam did have, for the most part, besides the injuries and besides the downfall with the coaches, that the coaches kind of put on him. It wasn't his fault, but besides that, Cam had a great career with
Definitely.
them. And he definitely lived up to what the fans wanted for most of that time. He definitely was a great person during this time. He didn't do anything wrong to the fans like some NFL players have done before recently. So I feel like Cam Newton's on a bright path here if he could just kind of like regroup and like focus on the next phase of his NFL career.
Yeah, and you even talk about with Belichick and Brady, who was responsible for the rings, right? Well, guess what? I want to go see Cam Newton go out, play for another team, and prove to Carolina they were wrong for moving on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a weird situation now in the NFL with Tom Brady not on the Patriots anymore. He's also gone on another team. But you know what? Tom Brady was so loyal to his fans too for 20 years in Foxborough. So the NFL is drastically changing, and I don't know if it's for the better or the worst. But you know what? It's almost good for Cam though. This league is slowly becoming more of a mobile quarterback league, less than what like the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type of quarterback. So I feel like Cam Newton's so mobile and he's such a good asset to the league that he is going to thrive whatever team picks him up.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so there have been many people, sports writers specifically, that have wanted a Ron Rivera and Cam Newton reunion in Washington. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like the Redskins are in total rebuild mode. I mean, they've been that way for a couple of years now. But I feel like if Cam Newton were to go to the Redskins, that would not be the best fit for him because their coaching is not the best right now. But Ron Rivera is a great coach. Like, he led the Panthers very far, many times in the playoffs, and other situations that were kind of hard for them. But I feel like the Redskins are so dysfunctional at this point that Cam Newton would get sacked more often, and that would limit his playing abilities. He's a mobile quarterback, so he needs to have a good O-line for being mobile. So I feel like he's better off going to a different team that can fulfill his whole potential to what it could be. He could really fill up any other team besides the Redskins, I feel, because the Redskins are just like not in a good position to sign Cam.
Yes, definitely. I definitely agree that all that stuff you said, they have been definitely a dysfunctional organization for maybe quarter of a century now. Like the Cowboys, we all know about the Cowboys. But
America's greatest team.
so we mentioned the Redskins, and yeah, Ron Rivera is the coach now. But I personally think a reunion with Ron Rivera Cam Newton, I don't think it's a good idea. The reason I think that is because there's a certain period in time where the coach and the player, they just need to move on in their own directions. And I think that's what I believe personally. I think they should give Dwayne Haskins the starting job the opening day, and that's how they should do it.
Yeah, Dwayne Haskins played great at Ohio State. You know what? Being a conference like the Big Ten and being a star like that, you don't see it every day. I mean, Dwayne Haskins is like one of those talents that you don't see that often in quarterbacks. But now, since the league is changing so much, I feel like Dwayne Haskins has potential. But will he do it on the Redskins? I don't know. I mean, he does. He's working from the ground up. I think the Redskins should rebuild their team and make sure Dwayne has offensive weapons, aside from Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, definitely. You see that they signed Kyle Allen to be their backup. It almost strikes me as like they want to give Dwayne Haskins competition for opening day. But yet again, Kyle Allen, second half of the season, he did not play so well.
No, he was only good at that first half of the season. So I don't know if that signing was like the best they could have done. I mean, Kyle Allen's a good quarterback, but we don't know. We know that Cam's a good quarterback. He's
Right.
proven himself time and time again. You're basically putting out your money and your marbles on the field.
Right.
If Kyle Allen's a bust on this team, who's going to want him then? The league's trying to change directions, I think, at this year. Free agency's been crazy to this point. No one predicted Tom Brady going to the Bucs. We thought he was going to the Raiders. So everything's kind of changing, Luca.
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching this sports segment. We will definitely be uploading many more. I'm Luca Vitale.
And I'm Max Schultz.
We'll see you later.